Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your AEW All Out 2021 review. And I'm joined by Spandan and Ridwan. So, guys, I don't know about you, but the tide in professional wrestling has changed. What you think about All Out?
The show was fun, like from top to bottom. Like every single match. Like matches, there was there were ebbs and flows, but overall, like it was enjoyable. And there were like certainly the big moments which were the highlight of the show entirely. So overall, yeah, it was a fun show from top to bottom.
Spandan?
Yeah, first time watching AEW, and that might be news that someone is watching AEW for the first time and he's on the review. So I have followed AEW with the history and all, but it was told to me that All Out is going to be a big show, so do watch it, and I did. And comparing, you might hear a lot of references I make to WWE because that is common knowledge to me. So it was fast-paced for me. It was not as slow and smooth as that, but I think it was better. All Out was a great show. Ups and downs, yeah, but more ups than downs. And overall, you could give it a good rating because I was entertained. One of the matches which has got a lot of good reviews was not to my liking, but you can call it a very good pay-per-view, and it took over most of the fans and whatever fans wanted.
So, is it time that we make you a Spandan is all elite graphics?
15 minutes after the show, I was like, fuck WWE, AEW is the best show and all of that stuff. But then the calming down process happened. But nah, I'll stay WWE at heart. You can do that later.
But about what did I think about the pay-per-view? I think it was one of the best pay-per-views I've seen, and one of the best pay-per-views that AEW has ever produced. Like, this was a show like this show was like it was the first ever show of AEW ever. Like, it was Double or Nothing 2019 all over again, and like we got new eyes on this pay-per-view. Like, for example, Spandan, he just watched a full AEW pay-per-view for the first time. So we had maybe hundreds or thousands or even more than that new eyes on this new company, this new show they're watching for the first time, and AEW knocked it out of the park. So this was a great presentation, if you ask me.
It was their like how WWE has WrestleMania XL, like their best show ever. So this is probably AEW's equivalent to that.
So that's why I said it's one of the best pay-per-views of all time. Do you think it was WrestleMania 17 level?
I mean, depends. Like, it's a subjective opinion at the end of the day. But like, for AEW fans, it will be more or less in that sense. And yeah, I think like there was barely anything negative to say about the show. Even like the matches that weren't supposed to be that good did deliver at the end of it. So it was fine that sense.
Yes, Spandan, what you think about the time length of All Out? So you were kind of iffy that this is a 4-hour pay-per-view. So what you think about the time length?
No, actually, being a fan who's watching for the first time, I was a bit confused because when WWE promotes shows, they have the kickoff, they put it properly on TV, that 1 hour kickoff or 2 hours, whatever. But AEW did it 4:30 to 7:30. So I was like, okay, 4:30 is the show starting. So I sat and it was 1 hour of buy-in and all of that. And we got only one match. So I was shocked to see that. But overall, I don't think it was too lengthy. Now, if someone who's a WWE fan has watched SummerSlam 4 hours, then he can obviously watch a better pay-per-view, better matches and less time. So it was awesome for me. And talking about new fans coming in is very true. It felt like it was the presentation of what All Elite Wrestling is. And for people who have watched All Out as their first show, I think they're connected to AEW now and will be watching regularly, as is for me.
And by the way, how is it watching on Eurosports? Did they edit something out because of the whole gory shit that they did? Was it plain and simple?
Yeah, it was plain and simple. I didn't see any editing or anything. CM Punk dropped a lot of F-bombs after his match. After he won, he was excited. So none of that got cut out. It was not heard, obviously, but you can see from the lip sync. But it was not edited. The blood from Penta and all of that stuff happened. That was not edited. So I don't know. But overall, I didn't see any cutting or anything.
But by the way, I want to say this: Chicago, this crowd here was hot from top to bottom. Like usually wrestling crowds, in an hour or so they die. But these crowd, it took the final second last match, Paul White QT Marshall match, to kind of die down the crowd. So Chicago is the best wrestling city or town, whatever you call it. These guys are the best compared to the other states in America.
Yeah, it is like known to be one of the most rapid crowds ever. Like, most of WWE shows are an example. Even if there's anything bad, so it becomes a hostile environment. And if there's anything good, then that's the like whatever we saw last night is one of those examples.
But shall we get down with the review of the actual card?
Yep.
So before that, if you're new to Slamhub Wrestling, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our other content. All links provided in the description below. But first, tell me, did you guys check out the buy-in?
I
Yes.
did not actually.
So Spandan checked out the buy-in, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
So I think we had only one match on the card. That was the Best Friends and Jurassic Express versus the HFO. I thought it was a good match for a buy-in or whatever you want to call it. We had a bunch of comedy spots because Orange Cassidy was involved and the fans got into it. So Jurassic Express and the Best Friends won here. Via as Jungle Boy, he tapped out Angelico, I guess, with a snare trap, and that's about it. But the main story here was that the HFO would eventually, come back and attack the baby faces, and we saw the return of the Butcher, who was out of injury for a while. So he's back. That's the story here, and nothing much.
Yeah, it was like they needed to have a match in the buy-in, so they had one. And multi-man tags are always fun to watch. They were singing Jungle Boy's Tarzan theme in the crowd, and that was awesome to watch. So fun little tag match, comedy spots due to Orange Cassidy. We saw the return of Butcher, but I think they're saving more stories from this part for Dynamite and Rampage. They don't want to do much. So it was a fun little tag, no actual story going into it. It was like baby faces and heels. So simple tag match, and they were building to the main show. They had a lot of promos. You had that CM Punk, sit down interview with JR and all of that stuff. So they weren't actually inviting a lot of eyes to the buy-in, but they had to do it because buy all out, all of that had to happen. So nothing much here.
Ridwan?
I did not watch this match in like a full detail sense, but I watched it more in just if that makes sense. Like there was that the octopus stretch sequence was there, and obviously the ending of the match with Butcher returning. So like Spandan mentioned, this is more like they are building more towards Dynamite because obviously it is free for people to watch as it is. And obviously that is also helping. Like while they're plugging the pay-per-view, they're also trying to promote their upcoming shows. So they're trying to, keep building towards inviting more casual fans to watch their product. So it was all about that, and it's a legend like Matt Hardy was involved in the match, so that helped in that sense. And as far as the match, I mean, the story goes, like we had mentioned, like I was honestly predicting Orange Cassidy to pick up the victory over Matt Hardy. And then as we discussed, me and Suprit, that this will probably end in the Hardy compound with some goofy shit happening. So regardless, I'm like going with the rest of the story. I'm just going with an open mind. And I don't know what I could expect, but certainly it would be fun in that sense, but let's see what happens.
But that was the match on buy-in. So let's quickly get into the main card here. So they kicked off with the TNT Championship match. It was MIRO versus Eddie Kingston. This turned out to be a really good match, man. I thought this was one of the best performances from both men, both Kingston and MIRO. And if you want to talk about the story, they really went with it. And that was the injured neck of MIRO. And there you go. In the entirety of this match surrounded around that element. And we also hear the chants of "redeem these nuts," so that's catching on fire. So that was great to hear. So what do you think about this match, Ridwan?
This match was fun. Like, you couldn't have asked for a better opener because it's just two big meaty men slapping meat kind of situation. And Eddie Kingston coming out with those "redeem these nuts" t-shirts. So I thought that was amazing. And the crowd was amazing. Like, the crowd was wild for Eddie Kingston. Like, they really wanted this guy to win the championship. And like, there were like a few chants here and there, like, "redeem these nuts" was one. There was also "fuck him up, Eddie, fuck him up." And like, throughout the match, I mean, they were hot for both of these guys. And as you mentioned, that this was probably like the best performance of Miro and Eddie so far in AEW. I agree with that a lot because, like, we got to see more of what Eddie Kingston can do in the ring. Because obviously, you don't really see, like, he is someone who has built his reputation on promos, unless like you watched independent wrestling and seen how good he was. And like, this was, I don't want to say it was a coming out party for him in the ring, but like, he certainly delivered, like, more so than what we all expected. And Miro is obviously, like, how great he is in the ring. So there you go. Like, this match overall, like, there were a few highlights of obviously Miro was working Kingston's arm so that he couldn't go for the Saito, and the main story obviously was Kingston working on Miro's neck, so that Miro has had a history of neck injuries. Like, there was one which kept him out for kept him out for a year, and there was like that one, that punch, and I think that was a punch or a forearm. I'm not sure.
It's a
So
back
there was
fist.
that exchange. No, yeah, back fist. Eddie was going for a chop, and Miro was, I think he was going for a punch, or it was a forearm. I don't exactly remember. And yeah, I mean, throughout this match kept me interested throughout, and like I said, it was like a great start to the show.
Spandan?
Yeah, so watching the first match, which was a 10-man tag, the buy-in match, I didn't take it that seriously. I was like, my first view of AEW is going to be the opening match, which was Miro and Eddie Kingston. So a lot of different things, man. Again, going back to comparing them to what the other company is, a lot of freedom in wrestling. We didn't see Miro, FKA, Rusev, fly and do drop kicks and all of that stuff. So, a lot of freedom in wrestling. I saw Miro going too fast, Eddie Kingston doing his chops and stuff. Great representation, great match. I was hooked in. I wasn't like blinking or looking here and there during the match. Great story. Yes, it was kind of predictable that Miro was going to retain, but the crowd was hot. They wanted to see this match. And as Booker T generally says, he don't want no water, no air, he just want meat. So it was like heavy wrestling from both people. And yeah, first representation of AEW All Out. Awesome. First match was great.
So the main highlights was, of course, they're beating the shit out of each other. Kingston was hitting a bunch of suplexes. So we saw a great dropkick from Miro. So there was one point where Kingston was in the game over submission. Kingston was able to make the ropes. So there was the situation with the exposed turnbuckle. So what happened was Kingston was about to hit send Miro into the exposed buckle here, but referee stopped it, and there was some distraction here. And what happened was Miro was able to get in a low blow. Referee didn't see it, so he hits a thrust kick, and that got him the victory here. So seeing it was a fuck finish, I assume we are expecting a rematch at the New York show that Ridwan and I kind of talked about, and it is the final destination for this whole feud or program between Miro and Kingston. What do you think, Ridwan?
Yes, I mean, the way they booked Kingston, I mean, he looked strong in defeat, and this was again another theme that was throughout the night, that even like people who lost were looked very strong in defeat, so that we could expect rematches down the line for like a few, and this was one of those things. So like, whatever the finish was, like, Bryce Remsworth got "you fucked up" chance for that turnbuckle shenanigans, and the way, like I mentioned, Eddie Kingston is booked. So there is certainly like a window open for rematch, which will most certainly be at the Arthur Ashe show that they do. So it's called Grand Slam.
It's called Grand Slam.
Yeah, so they have to do that, and Eddie has to win there in his hometown. So probably they're saving it for the big moment. And yeah, before this match, I was skeptical, like, if they just give it away over here, it wouldn't make sense to do it later on. But I think this finish disproves my theory. And yeah, I'm excited for the eventual rematch if they do it. I mean, if they go ahead with it.
So are you okay with MIRO losing the title here? Feels like it's bit soon.
It is, but I mean, the bigger moment is obviously Eddie Kingston's personal redemption as well. Like, we had talked about this at length. Like, he was supposed to retire last year, and then he gets this gig from AEW, and now he's like all his 20 years of hard work and suffering through every obstacles in his life. So this is a redemption story in itself. And it's hard to pass. It's hard to pass such a story and give his big moment in front of his own people.
Let's see, man. Let's see. But shall we open the forbidden door?
Yeah,
because
let's do it.
The upcoming match was Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima, who's from New Japan. It was also similar to the first match, like we saw with Kingston and MIRO, hard hitting, but kind of decent-ish. Kojima can still go. But what do you think about this match, Ridwan?
I thought this match was also great, but its presence was kind of diluted because of the match that we saw just before it. Like, it was another hard-hitting affair, but still, I mean, this match was enjoyable in its own right. Like, Mox continues to be at the top of his game, and this was probably like the exposure of Kojima to the Western eyes, or like more casual fans, as we say. And yeah, I mean, throughout the match, like Kojima's, his moveset really kept people invested and ongoing. And he has been he is a legend in this business, throughout if you followed his career. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was another fun match. I just feel that its importance was a bit diluted. But again, like more so than this match, it was more about the moment after, which we'll get to.
Spandan?
Yeah, it was kind of diluted, as Ridwan said, because on the card you had more major matches. So this wasn't a match that the kind of people were looking forward to. Yeah, it wasn't bad, as you said, it was decentish. But Moxley is like a major name, big name in AEW. So when he comes out, his entrance and all of it, the hype and aura around Jon Moxley is big. So people will watch it. It was a hard-hitting contest and decent. Yeah, I wasn't very entertained with it because I was looking forward to the other things that are on the show, but you weren't disappointed watching it. You weren't like, why is this happening and all of that. So good match. Jon Moxley will move on to bigger things because of what happened after the match. So it's good to see what AEW is doing, and now Dynamite has a major match.
But let's talk about the highlights here. So Jon Moxley came out wearing a GCW jersey, and this got instantly a GCW chant from the Chicago Faithfuls. So very hard-hitting match here. Off the bat, we see forearm being exchanged. So Kojima was hitting his signature moves like the Koji Cutter. The main story was he was trying to get in his big lariat, but Moxley avoided it. And as we get to the end, Moxley hit the paradigm shift. Yes, he did hit the paradigm shift and then finished off with the Death Rider, the elevated version. And that got the victory here. Decent enough match. And we saw kind of, a respect from Moxley for this hard-hitting match. But that wasn't it, my friends, because we then hear this familiar tune and the crowd goes insane because it's Minoru Suzuki. And by the way, I want to tell you, whatever they did here, this was a recreation of what they did before the pandemic in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom. Same thing created here. And it was good. Crowd went insane for Minoru Suzuki. And we also got a good enough Kaze Ninare from the crowd, which I liked. By the way, Spandan Kaze Ninare is basically the Japanese version of Adam Cole Baby. So there you go.
Okay.
So we see a face-to-face between Suzuki and Moxley, and they started exchanging forearms like it's nothing. And there was one part where Moxley is being all goofy, like he eats a forearm, and then he's like, "Yes, respect." Then we start for exchanging forearms, and then we got to a point where Suzuki locks in a sleeper, then hits the God style pile driver. There you go. We are setting up a match between Suzuki and Moxley on Dynamite. Should be good. Should be good, man. Should be good. What you think?
It will be wild, to say the least. Like, these guys are just out to murder each other. This is what we're going to see on Dynamite. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. Like, pretty much.
Spandan, what was your first impression watching Minoru Suzuki? I know he's not the tribal chief, but he is the final boss of wrestling. That's all I'm gonna say.
Altogether.
Yeah, even not watching, I've heard Suzuki's name a lot. I've heard that he's a big star. And watching him for the first time, listening to that crowd, I was like, okay, Japan wrestling is very big. So when he came out, the crowd went insane, but we know it's Chicago, so they will go insane for everything. And for the first thing, generally we see these stare downs and stuff. And when you're building to a match that is so big, you generally do it with just a stare down, but they didn't. They went all out, no pun intended, but they battled out and did all the moves and all that stuff. And now it's not just Moxley versus Suzuki, it's homecoming of Moxley because it is in Cincinnati, Ohio, his hometown. So it's going to be a big match. And just randomly putting it on a Dynamite proves that the weekly shows have also become bigger than usual. So it's going to be a big match, and I'm excited for it because I am going to regularly watch now.
Let's see, man. Match should be fun, but we still have to wonder what's the long-term thing for Moxley in AEW. Am I right, Ridwan?
Yes, I mean, at this point, we are still unclear of what is he trying to do. But like on another, what do you say, in another zone, they are clearly building towards Mox versus Tanahashi. So we are trying to see like they're sowing the seeds for it in AEW itself, as him going through different New Japan stars. So probably in that sense, you could say they are building towards something like that. But how they do it, like if Tanahashi comes to AEW and promotes this match in New Japan, like whatever happens, I'm in for it.
So, by the way, after what we have seen from the segment and match, the moral of the story is New Japan is better in America compared to New Japan in Japan. So there you go.
Currently, yes.
But
yeah, because
they've
broken the forbidden door and they're bringing all these different companies in with AEW. They're tying everyone. That gives more opportunities, to be honest, because when you're booking a match or a storyline, you just look at your roster. But now these guys have an entire roster of 2 to 3 companies. So it's good to know. And Japan, has a big wrestling, community and stuff. But since American viewers watch a lot of NJPW and stuff, so they know about it. And when they see that in their country, they get really excited. So yeah, that is kind of true.
Let's see how I hope the situation in Japan kind of improves. But moving on, sticking to AEW, we had the AEW Women's Championship match where Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, was defending the title against Kris Statlander. So moving into the pay-per-view, we all said that the build to this match was 0 to none, but they were able to deliver a very entertaining match. So what do you think about this match here, Ridwan?
This match was fun. This was again a team, like I mentioned. It was a match of 2 halves. Like in the beginning, like after coming off Minoru Suzuki's debut, so the crowd was obviously like a tiny bit exhausted, but they did their job to bring the crowd back up to full speed and then get them invested into it. And Kris Statlander looked very strong in this match, and Baker brought in her A game as this match progressed, and I think like from probably like when Britt Baker was going for her sequences like the sling blade and the Falcon Arrow that she did, so that's when the match picked up a notch. And obviously, there was also outside factors like Rebel and Jamie Hater were in for Baker, while Orange Cassidy was in corner of Statlander. So yeah, I mean, throughout this match, like got me hooked after a point. But yeah, this match certainly delivered. Like obviously, the build wasn't all that much, except for like the go home rampage. But this match did exceed expectations in that sense.
Spandan?
Yeah, as you said, the hype wasn't really there. And one thing that I noticed about AEW, tell me if I'm wrong or right, the video packages, the promo packages are too short. Are they actually?
Do you think so, Ridwan?
I think they are like pretty decent. Like they are, letting the matches do most of the storytelling. So it's just there to give the background and whatever, just hype you up in whatever way they could at that time limit, and let the match do the thing.
Yeah, because when I watched the match, I was like, okay, there would have been a better story because the match was really, really good. And this was the first exposure to AEW women's wrestling, which people have said that is not the actual best. But from what I saw, I thought people were wrong because it is very, very good. And from what I've seen in the past is Britt Baker's challengers have not been that dominant against her, except a few. But today, Kris Statlander was great. And the match that I saw was insane. But some of the spots she did kind of hinted towards what was coming at the end of the show. She did a Panama Sunrise, which was kind of obvious of what's going to happen. But I don't know if the crowd noticed it or not. But a lot of good spots, dominant win. And why is it Dr. Britt Baker then again DMD? Because it's like almost a superhero, Nikki, almost a superhero.
Whoa. You compared Nikki Ash to Miss DMD?
No, I did not. Wait, I said the way of saying the name because DMD is somewhat the same thing. So that's why I said it.
Anyways, but shall we talk about the match here?
Yeah.
So it really took a while to this match to pick up. Like they were really doing some good wrestling from the get-go. Kind of minor involvement from Reba and Jamie Hayter, and Orange Cassidy kind of got involved. There was one botch with Britt Baker, like they were doing these exchanges. She was going for a stomp, and midway something happened, and that move didn't execute. So there was some big spots like Baker went for the Pittsburgh Sunrise, not the Panama Sunrise, but it was still a shout out to Baby. Then she hit a stomp that didn't get the job done. So before that, there was some thing with Kris Statlander. She was going for a big finisher, but that got reversed. So at the end, we were able to see Britt Baker locking the lock jaw, and that was it for Statlander. Really good match, and you could say, in a way, it was a breakout performance for Statlander. Is that right, Ridwan?
It is. I think the last pay-per-view appearance she had was Revolution last year. She had a world title match versus Nyla Rose, and it wasn't that special. This match certainly, given the recent amount of improvement that Statlander has gone through, and along with that, she had like an undefeated streak. I didn't think she lost a match in 2021. So she was a sentimental favorite easily, but more so than that, it was also I don't think it totally galvanized Britt Baker's reign, but it certainly did its job. So there are potentially more challenges coming in, and it's just to showcase how far she can go in that role as champion.
Like we are still waiting for that Thunder Rosa, her first big feud to start off.
Yes, you're right, because the few matches that she had were kind of throwaway. So this was like a one with decent build, and certainly they'll take it up from there.
Mainly, we'll be seeing that match at Full Gear. Has to happen, right?
Kind of, yes. But the reports were they'll probably be pushing it to early next year. So it depends where do they go. But also another thing I want to point out, they had Statlander fade out in the lockjaw instead of her outright tapping out. So that makes her look like super strong, which is great for her and also great for Baker.
There you go, man. Let's see. And Statlander, if Britt is having a long reign, I don't mind if they want to put back Statlander in there for another rematch.
Yeah, but won't be this soon, probably later down the line.
But moving on, we had an interview with Andrade Lidalo. He was plugging in his match with a Park that will happen at the upcoming Rampage. Was kind of disappointed that this match is not happening at the pay-per-view, and he was blaming on Park, and he was asking Chavo Guerrero if you canceled his flight and something like that. So there you go. They even mentioned something about the Lucha Bros, and this was a great transition for the upcoming match here, because it was the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros inside a steel cage for the AEW Tag Team Championship match. And I'll have to say this, Jim Cornette, he will have a field day with this one, because if you thought the insane ladder match 2 years ago at All Out between these two teams was, something crazy, boy, these guys topped it. I don't know what to say. These two tag teams are insane. This crowd was hot. Like, they were doing spots, but the thing is, people wanted Lucha Bros to win. These guys hate the Young Bucks, and nobody was ready to go home if Lucha Bros didn't win the AEW Tag Team Championship. They gave you the great outcome, and overall, this came off as a great match. Thoughts on this one, Ridwan?
I mean, easily the match of the night. Like, these guys were pulling out all the stops from the get-go. Like, it started off hot, and then throughout the match, like there was no signs of the crowd tiring up by themselves, because both the Bucks were continuously throwing Phoenix onto the cage, and also just kicking the shit out of Penta. And like throughout the match, like you were badly wanting Lucha Bros to win, so which is a testament of the great heel work that the Bucks were doing. And no one likes the Bucks. I mean, in kayfabe, that is, like, they hate their guts with how they pull themselves up. So this was like a good indication of that. While the Lucha Bros were like super baby faces, they even got a grand entrance, which was mad. And despite that grand entrance, even if they had lost, then they would have looked like cutes. So overall, I mean, my words won't do it justice. So people have to watch, go out of their way and watch this match, which was amazing from start to finish. And yeah, like this match, easily the match of the night.
Spandan, do you have something to say about this one? Because I'm sensing something.
Yes.
Yeah. So whoever watches this, please don't be harsh to me on the comment section, because my opinion is going to be a bit different. Because from what I read, what I heard about people's opinions on this match, and you guys also, you loved the match. And I did watch the previous ladder match. It was really, really good. But, first impressions of AEW, I felt I didn't like this match. Just listen to me for once, because I felt it was too fast-paced. A lot, we do like spot fests and all of those good spots with all the blood and all of that. I did like the fact that it kind of showed a story that the elder brother was protecting the younger brother, and then they won the tag team championships. But overall, the match, I felt it didn't slow down at any point. I wanted the story to go a bit nicely, but it was just spot after spot after spot. They were like flying here and there and doing all those things. I like the fact that they used the thumbtacks Jordans. That was a good point. But overall, I wasn't a big fan of this match. But let's just see what the future is, because I had an opinion that I don't like the Young Bucks, and that opinion stays. So the match was, a bit fast-paced, but maybe they did the job because now I love the Lucha Bros and I hate the Young Bucks. So yeah, AEW did a good job there.
Ridwan, what you think about that thumbtack spot with the shoes and sneakers?
I think Excalibur was the one who reminded that they've done it before in that hardcore match that they had with Kingston and Penta. So yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, it didn't really hit me as much while I was watching it. I didn't really feel that gruesome except when Penta got the super kick. And beyond that, they didn't use it much, weirdly. Like when Phoenix used it back in offense to, I think, probably Nick Jackson. That's when it was like it felt something. Otherwise, it was just there for me.
So let's talk about the highlights here. So from the get-go, Young Bucks were trying to escape. By the way, Nick Jackson had a hideous-looking face cut. So there you go.
He was looking like Serge Tankian from System of a Down. He had that style of beard.
It was there, man. But what do you think about the Lucha Bros entrance? I liked it, by the way.
So yeah, they got a grand entrance. It was Mikey Ruckus and someone named Moeles Tetayo. So he was rapping in Spanish for to hype up the crowd. In fact, Penta and Phoenix, I mean, they looked killer. The way they entered. And yeah, I mean, we were in for something huge and we got that. The match that is.
Generally, when they do all these grand entrances, you don't expect the people to win because you're like, okay, they have a grand entrance, they're going in. It's not going to be all happy. Okay, they got an entrance as well. They're winning also. All of that can't happen at once, but they pulled the trigger and didn't keep it for the future because Young Bucks losing, it's a big thing because if you see AEW, the faces of the company are basically the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Britt Baker. So when someone from this group loses, you know it's a big thing. So I love the entrance. They hyped it up. It was like credible challengers, but they'll stay challengers, but they got the win also.
At least this live performance was better than what we saw at WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley. That girl was shouting.
Yeah, her mic wasn't even on at that time, and the crowd was like, "We can't hear you."
But speaking about the highlights here, so Young Bucks from the get-go, they were trying to escape the cage, but Phoenix jumped up and kicked them and there you go. And like I said, really spot fest heavy match here. And at one point, the Bucks were trying to rip off the mask of both Penta and Phoenix, and we saw both men busted open at one point. Matt Jackson, he would end up, as the Lucha Bros were building momentum, he kicked both of them in the balls, and then he decided to call out his their associate Stooge Brandon Cutler to throw in the black bag, and I'm glad that bag made it through the cage and he didn't botch it and stuff. That would have been hilarious. So we saw a sneaker filled with thumbtacks. So he kind of got in, a couple of super kicks. We see Penta, protecting the younger brother Phoenix, and he took the bullet here. So all of a sudden, Phoenix started to, build some momentum. He went full ape shit here, crazy, and was kicking all of the Bucks here. So there was one point on the match where all four guys were exchanging super kicks after super kicks after super kicks. And when Phoenix went down, it was Matt Jackson standing. He keeps up and hits another super kick. Then Penta gets up, he kicks. So Nick Jackson, everybody is down, crowd is going wild. So then we got to the point where we had to climb up the cage, right? So Phoenix was going for the super tag team pile driver, like the normal one didn't. Yeah, the normal one didn't get the job done. So they had to go for a higher one. Phoenix got up. So Nick Jackson, he got rid of Penta with a super kick. So he was about to go for Phoenix, and Phoenix, like nothing, kicked. He was running the top of the cage like it's nothing. Then they do a big dive off and taking everybody out there. Then they hit Lucha Bros hit yet another, double team pile driver, and that got them the victory. Crowd went wild, and great outcome with Lucha Bros winning.
They even got a standing ovation from the crowd once they got the pinfall victory over the Bucks. So that was nice to see.
And like I said, really great outcome. Like we were kind of, a little effy with the whole go home show segment that they did. Like, will the Bucks go over? Like, mostly it was Bucks were going to retain. But seeing that they really went 50-50, and at least Lucha Bros, got the last redemption, got the tag titles. By the way, Ridwan, what you think about the Young Bucks title reign? It was long, but was it good? Great? Like, what's the opinion here?
I think it was pretty good. So they won it last year from FTR, I believe. So like earlier this year was when I got in very regularly with AEW, and so since then every match that they've had delivered more than expected. So I'd say, and this is also the longest reign in AEW history, longest tag title reign, which is also good to see. So yeah, I feel like this tag reign was long, but I think it did its job. So it had to solidify the division too. So I think they did their job.
I kind of sense with the Bucks losing the tag titles, I think we might see a downfall of the Elite, but it doesn't look like we are having a downfall of the Elite this soon.
Not anytime soon. Yeah.
After what happened at the end, it's not happening, but there you go. But kind of sense that Lucha Bros will be dropping the title very soon.
Yeah, even I have that bad feeling, similar to how FTR did last year. They won it at All Out and lost it at the very next pay-per-view to the Bucks. So that was weird. Then again,
Or they, speaking about Lucha Bros, I think they finally align with Andrade then, now that they got gold with them.
I hope not, though. We need to see what happens on Rampage to come to that conclusion. Probably not, because even I had mentioned this in the past. They've been kind of doing this. They've been outright heel sometimes or outright faces. They've never stuck to one alignment. So I hope that this is a more sustained run of theirs with the tag titles, and let's see what happens. We are in for some great matches as this for the tag titles, but let's see what they do.
But moving on, we had the women's Casino Battle Royale. I think this was great to follow up the tag title match, this wild tag title match here. But about the Casino Battle Royals that AEW do, it's not the greatest thing in the world. There is something about this Battle Royale that kind of dips the quality of these matches. Am I right, Ridwan?
Yes, this was a cool down spot, and I think it was kind of fair. And yeah, it was in that sense it worked. But yeah, I agree. Most of these battle royals that they've done, be it for the tag title opportunity or this, it has been sloppy for the most part. But I think this was pretty decent in that sense, or just around.
The match itself I felt was decent, but the type of match I felt the Casino Battle Royale is a weird kind of dynamic, because at one time you have 5 entrances. So I felt like out of the 21 superstars, I couldn't even get to know the names of those superstars because it was that quick, one after the other. So it doesn't actually give the spotlight to a single superstar. Just comparing it to the Royal Rumble for once, as there is a 90-second gap, so when someone is making an entrance, you have that spotlight, okay, this is the 20th entrant or something like that. But when you have 5 superstars continuously, it is kind of very fast. But more, like the main event also, it was mostly about the end of it, because people, when predicting the winners of the show, there was a rumor that Ruby Soho will be there, but people were already predicting that she would win. So that's why people were waiting for that in the end, not actually excited for the match. As Ridwan said, this was a cool down moment. So they kind of lost their touch at this point, but the end was great.
Originally,
the crowd was just, yeah.
Originally, what the original concept of this casino battle royal was, like the first Double or Nothing. The set of groups would come out at the same time. They didn't have them coming out to individual entrances. I think they started doing it after this year's Double or Nothing, like giving everybody entrance.
Yeah, like Max Caster's entrance was this year was the highlight. How they did that Double or Nothing, and I think like the Revolution one that they did for the tag titles, people like it was for the tag titles, and people did get individual entrances. Or am I remembering it wrong?
We also got individual entrances for those guys as well.
Yes, but it was more like the Royal Rumble, like that one person from one tag team will come after a certain interval, like how it is at a normal Royal Rumble.
But the one thing is here, it is the Royal Rumble in a ways, but they save extra half an hour, I guess.
Yeah, because they have 5 entrances at the same time.
But about this battle royal, it was decent, and the first group of women, there was this one lady called Sky Blue, who's from Chicago, who is a crowd favorite. We also had Sky Blue section, cutout sign. So there you go. And by the way, during the middle parts of this match, do you know what the crowd was chanting?
What?
The crowd was chanting, "We want Tessa, no, we don't."
Yeah, yes, they were chanting.
So there you go. The AEW faithfuls will not be accepting Tessa Blanchard that easily.
Definitely not. Like, not for the foreseeable future, that is.
But I wanted to get that out of the way. The thing is that Nyla Rose was being presented as a dominant threat overall. Like, she got in a lot of eliminations. So during the first part, Sky Blue, got eliminated from, I think, Hikaru Shida or someone. Was it Hikaru Shida, Ridwan?
I missed Sky Blue's elimination. I thought it was Bunny.
Yeah, she got eliminated and the crowd booed. And even Hikaru Shida was at one point was a crowd favorite. Then we also heard Rio coming in. We did get some, great pops from some of these baby faces like Anna Jay and Ty Conti and even Leila Hirsch. And by the way, Ridwan, I think Red Velvet will be going as a heel. Ever since they presented her as a heel 2-3 weeks ago, the crowd are not getting into her.
Yes, they even did address that on Dark while basically, so the backstory is for Sky Blue. She got into this match because Julia Hart was injured, and they were having a match, Sky Blue and Red Velvet, and in the middle of the match itself, Red Velvet was leaning more towards the heel side, and as Sky Blue was the obvious baby face. So yeah, they are actually testing the waters with Red Velvet as a heel. I don't know what to expect, but I'm kind of intrigued in this case.
Funny enough, she is part of Cody Rhodes' stable.
Yes, everyone seems to turn heel.
But did you guys check out what Reba was doing at the final parts of the match? The way she got eliminated was so head scratching to me.
Yeah.
She was midway for some stupid reason. She was doing a split on the ropes. Then someone kicked her, and then she fell off.
Yeah. Even Dreo's elimination was like super fun. She went through the bottom rope and she was declared eliminated.
But as we get to the final parts here, before the Joker card was even revealed, 5 minutes before this, we heard Ruby Soho chants like, "This crowd is super smart here." And when we got to the Joker card, big pop for Ruby Soho, and that music is really catching her. That Ruby Soho theme is really catching. And at one point, the crowd was even singing that theme.
Yeah, it's an original song by Rancid. They had openly, when Ruby Soho got released from WWE, so they had openly quoted for her to use their theme song. And Tony Khan has paid money for that, so it's in good use for.
So Ruby Soho comes in, she becomes the instant favorite to win this match. Crowd is into her. We see women like Jade Cargill. She also had kind of a dominant performance, but she gets eliminated by, I think, Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose.
So I think the final ladies were Thunder Rosa, Ruby Soho, Nyla Rose, and someone else. Was it Jade Cargill?
Tay Conti.
Oh,
No, it was Tay
Conti.
Conti.
She
She
got
eliminated Penelope Ford, and then like she was part of the final four, so which was good to see. Yes.
so the final two were who were they? Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. Both
Ruby
are
Soho.
favorites. They really went face to face, feeling in the crowd response. Crowd is going wild for both these ladies here. So we see these two ladies fighting off on the apron. So hit some kick and that knocked out Thunder Rosa. She fell off. So wins the Casino Battle Royal. Really good reaction from the crowd. And I think it was a great outcome. Like she had to win this, right?
Yes. Like I wasn't exactly predicting her, but I mean with the crowd investment and her story so far, like coming into AEW, it made sense that way. And plus, it's better to save Rosa versus Baker for like a later event. But after when she won the match, like her and referee Bryce Remsworth, they share a cool moment after, which was like
Genuine.
heartwarming. Yeah, it was pretty genuine and heartwarming because I mean they both have a shared history in Shikara. Like Ruby as Heidi Lovelace back then, she was like a regular fixture over there, and Bryce was like the main referee. So good to see that.
So what do you think about Ruby Soho, Spandan? She finally got a big moment that she was deserving in WWE.
Absolutely, because she was one of those talented superstars that got released. One of those. So when she, if you remember in 2020, early Jan or February, she made a return to WWE, taking on Liv Morgan and all that stuff. And if you hear the pop, it wasn't this big, but yeah, people were kind of excited that Ruby Riott is back. And now Ruby Soho, it was all kind of building to it. And this was like the cherry on top because we knew she was coming, mostly like what we saw at the end. So the theme song by Rancid and all of the spots that she did, all of the work that has gone behind this debut, it was really good to see. And she even called it at the media scrum that this is a pinnacle of her wrestling career. And you can't imagine that it's a debut in a company. Generally, it's like winning a championship or a title or something like that, and it's just a debut. So big things for Ruby Soho in AEW.
Yes, and this was also the first time she met Tony Khan, so special in a way, I guess.
Yeah, the hiring process of Tony Khan is little weird, but it's good at the end.
Yeah.
But excited for Ruby Soho, man. Like I said, was very much underrated on that WWE roster. Like she didn't even get to hold a title, like she mentioned in the media scrum, I guess. For 2-3 years or more than that she spent on national TV, she didn't even once hold a singles title or any form of titles. So that she could get in here in AEW.
Yep.
But
yeah, she could. But
go on.
One more thing, that before she was released, she had one of those matches on main event against someone, and it was like a 300-day gap that she had won a single match. So you're talking about championship. She didn't even win a single match for 300 days, and it was after her return. So yeah, terribly booked like the other superstars, but how entire roster of WWE was watching All Out, and they were even tweeting, and they were tweeting really weird stuff, which I wouldn't expect from someone like a Sasha Banks or someone like a Liv Morgan, because they are major stars there. But they went literally posting stuff and theme songs of the superstars who showed up at AEW All Out and all of that stuff. So yeah, happy for Ruby Soho, and instantly getting a win does put her over. So I'm really excited for what's in her future.
Now she'll be getting that first title shot against the Doctor, which is not announced yet, but I assume maybe they do it at the Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yeah, I was expecting that too. That's their next big show, next big dynamic.
Mostly she will not be winning the title, but will be good to watch, her first big match for a title. That, by the way.
She at least gets a championship match.
There you go. Maybe one day she will be AEW Women's Champion.
For sure.
So moving on, we had Chris Jericho versus MJF. This was the final fight, and don't know, we were kind of little effy here also, because kind of AEW booked themselves in the corner. Will they risk MJF taking a big loss? Will they finally do it, end Jericho's wrestling career, which we really didn't want to, or they shouldn't have it. They should don't do that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Jericho has to wrestle in some capacity. But I thought this was the best, you could say, at a wrestling standpoint, this was the best Jericho MJF match you will see. Like, the previous matches have been, it's been there, but they really upped their game in this one. What do you think about this match, Ridwan?
Yes, this match was like a lot better than their previous encounters. I'd say more so. I think it was equal for me, like the last Labor of Jericho match that they had in Dynamite. So it was like around that or slightly better, because I mean there were obviously stakes involved with this. So obviously they had to up the ante, and like the crowd work on MJF was like super solid. Like the crowd really hated this guy in kayfabe. Like he even did the Y2J countdown entrance, and then he just like starts shitting all over the crowd. So
No, we were expecting Jericho to make his entrance. Then the Titantron showed Jericho's last match. I laughed.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And yeah, it was like the crowd was like completely booing MJF, and I think I'm not sure if there were plants or like their actual fans. Like MJF was like trying to get into a fist fight with them, and after that Jericho's entrance wasn't special. Like that Judas shredding is a little black, but overall I mean from the matches, like it was also another match of two halves. Like starting they weren't doing, like it was very slow at the beginning, and then it picked up from the powerbomb spot on the apron, and then MJF started selling his back, which was good to see. And I think MJF looked like the best shape of his life, like ever since he started wrestling.
Spandan?
And yeah.
Rizwan, continue.
No, I don't have much, so I'm just adhering to like all the heelish spots that MJF did to work the crowd, and then now Jericho is coming back. So it was a roller coaster of a match for all the right reasons, and certainly enjoyed it.
Rizwan, Spandan?
Yeah, I compare it to those, Rock and Cena matches, because it's kind of like the veteran Jericho and the rising star MJF. And I didn't know MJF is this young. I expected him to be around 27, 28, but this young. So he's doing amazing stuff already. And for a person who loves, hearing promos and even kayfabe, I do some promos in some competitions. So I do love a lot of good promo work. So MJF coming out to Jericho's, kind of WWE entrance, the countdown, and then Jericho's last match, that was amazing. And I instantly went on the group, oh my God, he's doing the WWE entrance, and then we see Jericho's last match. So I was like, how heelish can this guy be? And I don't think the people in the crowd were actually AEW guys. I think it was the crowd. He was trying to get into a fist fight, and I dare you, but obviously they didn't hit him. I was hoping they would, but I don't think the crowd kayfabe hates MJF. They actually really, really hate MJF. And the way he took the jacket and wiped his back with the, Jericho's jacket and all of that stuff. So it was kind of more for the hype, more for why the match is happening and the final fight and stuff like that. But the in-ring work also was very, very good. So Jericho is kind of slowed down as he is old, so acceptable. But yeah, MJF carried the match nicely. Expressions nice, story really, really good, and I enjoyed it.
By the way, this is the best Jericho match since 2020, I guess, Ridwan. Remember the Tanahashi match at the Tokyo Dome?
Oh yeah, that was a good match.
Since then, we haven't seen a best wrestling match from Jericho. But about the entrance, it blew up in everyone's faces over there. Like, okay, he was shredding the guitar, but there is something like there was, I think, audio issues. There was little off sync, I guess, and the crowd
Yeah, the crowd.
lost here. Like they were trying to recreate the moment from 2 weeks ago at Dynamite where there was no Judas. They actually nailed it there, but this was, you could say, in a way, a major botch.
Yeah, since they couldn't sing it because the guitar was actually good, but it was kind of too loud, and people actually couldn't understand which line is he playing right now. So they wanted to really shout and sing the entire song, but they were sad that they couldn't. They even tried towards the end, and at the end they were kind of like, okay, we will sing it no matter what you do. But yeah, it kind of got overshadowed because the previous 2 weeks back when they did the actual singing, it was really, really nice and tried to recreate it, but absolute fail.
So let's talk some highlights here. Like the story here was when like MJF was pulling off everything here, like they even mentioned on commentary, he was doing high flying spots. Especially he was trying for that big moonsault, which he missed. And then Jericho hit him in a somewhat of a pop-up powerbomb, like a Kevin Owens style on the apron. And from there, MJF really did a great, fantastic job, selling that back. So we're really getting a good story here in the match. And there was some involvement of Wardlow and Jake Hager. So they came out and they started to brawl. So there was one big spot here where Jericho was going for those mounted punches and then was supposed to hit a Hurricanrana, but MJF caught him in a powerbomb that looked great. So we get to the final parts here, and I think MJF hit a Judas effect on Jericho to get the first pin, and Jericho actually made the ropes. Referee didn't see it. She counted to 3, and MJF was declared the winner here. And I thought it was kind of little confusing here. How is this it? Is this how you're gonna end Jericho's in-ring career with this decision? Then a second referee came out. He argued with Aubrey here, and we got to a point where Aubrey was decided to restart the match, and we did get a rematch here. The crowd really got into it, and as we get to the final parts here, Jericho was able to try to get a surprise roll up, but that didn't work. He finally locked in the walls of Jericho and really cinched it in, and that made MJF to tap out. Jericho 1 year officially. He still will be a active in-ring performer in AEW, and there you go, man. We even saw a post-match celebration with the Inner Circle, and that's about it. What you think about the whole screw-up finish? We expected something like that if Jericho was winning, but what you think about it, Ridwan?
It gives MJF a reason to whine about, so it works on that sense. Because, obviously, MJF, he feels like he beat him fair and square, but Jericho's foot was on the road. And then, obviously, he feels like he got screwed out, but eventually it was Jericho. So it was good for MJF to, build up his heel character from there. And with such a finish, I think it was good for MJF to take that loss. And obviously, we know that Jericho was going away anytime soon. So in that case, it worked for him. But yeah, I mean, it felt a bit distasteful at first, but then again, this was probably the best way they could have done to protect MJF and as well as save Jericho's career.
Yeah, when they named it the final fight, that if Jericho loses, he leaves AEW and stuff, there were some idiots on social media who started making news that 5 reasons why Jericho is coming back to WWE, 5 reasons he needs to come to Raw, he's going to save wrestling and all of that stuff. And I was like, come on, man, Jericho can't leave right now. So talking about the other part of the match, which was the end. So the way Jericho had his feet on the rope, the referee was trying so hard to not look at that because it was literally to the right of her, and you have peripheral vision. She was just not looking to the right. I was like, just 1 inch here and there and you can see the foot. But she didn't. She acted all the way. And I have a problem with AEW referees because you see someone with outside interference, they don't take them out or disqualify anything. So it was kind of a funny moment. But yeah, as Ridwan said, it was the best of both worlds. You protected MJF because he actually beat Jericho, and then it was like the actual finish was not MJF winning, but you had to keep Jericho as well. So instead of giving Jericho an absolute clean win, you kind of gave MJF something to whine about, that he can come on Dynamite and I actually beat Jericho and all of that stuff. So yeah, good story, good match, and MJF, it can be clear that he's the best heel in the business right now.
But
And
at this,
with this, we hope. With
go on,
this, we
Ridwan,
hope
go on.
like With this, we hope this is like the definitive end to the feud. So we don't want to see more of this. Yeah, like all of us are sick.
Let's move on.
Faction versus faction,
Let's move on.
singles matches too much.
Yeah,
And
let's
town
move.
hall meetings as well.
Yeah, let's move on from this feud. It's been kind of dragging now. You had some moments, but let these two guys go their separate paths. Maybe MJF might consider jumping in the world title picture or some other feud. Jericho would be doing Jericho stuff. So let's move on. This is the end. Like you named it, the final fight. That's it. We don't want any more Jericho matches with MJF or this Pinnacle and Inner Circle thing.
Ridwan just said that MJF has something to whine about. We just hope it's not like I beat Jericho and I want a rematch and all that stuff.
But there you go, man. There you go. But let's get into the best part that everyone was looking forward to. We had CM Punk versus Darby Allin. This was Punk's first match back after 7 years. 7 years, man. Did you even expect, when you were watching this match, did you even believe that, yes, is this finally happening? CM Punk is finally wrestling?
Yeah, it took me a while to get into it. Obviously, I was losing my shit watching CM Punk wrestle, but it was quite evident, the way he was in the ring, and you can't blame it because he was wrestling after 7 years. So yeah, overall stoked.
Spandan?
Yeah, when we were talking earlier in the first parts of the review that a lot of new viewers came into AEW now watching it, I think around 80 to 90% of the credit goes to CM Punk, because there are very few fans that have watched AEW as their first wrestling show. So most of these people are coming off from WWE. So when they heard a big name like CM Punk, who's been there and now in AEW, so that brought a lot of people here. So CM Punk was kind of the reason. But talking about when he started wrestling, I was kind of waiting for him to be in trunks, but he wasn't full lower. So not a big problem. But the early parts, I was like, it's a singles match, it's just two superstars. But then the realization came that, oh my God, it's CM Punk. He's wrestling after 7 years. So I didn't actually want to see a 5-star classic or anything. I just wanted to see Punk, how he would do. And Darby did his job. He was fantastic. Also, my first impression of Darby Allin, and he's awesome. So probably the best, safest option to put against Punk, because there were, other podcasts who were talking about what if Darby does something bad and Punk gets injured or anything. So that would have been really terrible. So good choice of putting Darby with Punk, and really, really happy to see Punk back.
But before the match even began, we had your usual Darby Allin video package. Nothing much. We see someone in a body bag with a CM Punk best in the world, typed in the body bag, and this body bag was picked up by a helicopter. Nothing usual here. Darby Allin just jumps from the helicopter, and that's it. That's his usual hobby.
True.
But
is it me or I heard a kind of a final countdown theme, because it was not actually final countdown, it was something similar, and I was like, is it Bryan already? Because I felt like it was going to happen, but immediately I saw best in the world written on it, so I was like, okay, this is Darby's entrance probably. So yeah.
So we get to the entrance, like this match, from the entrance to the whole thing, the crowd was super into it. Like Darby was getting a good reaction from the crowd, and Punk, by the way, came out to, can I say it is his old Ring of Honor gear with the whole trunks and stuff? Ridwan?
He used to wear basketball shorts over there.
Now he has gone with the long trunks.
Same pants.
But at least it was better than what Shawn Michaels was wearing in his first match back.
Yeah, thousand times better than like.
But the match began in a way like commentators are really hyping this match, saying that it has a big fight field. We see Darby Allin sitting in the corner while CM Punk, when he made his entrance, he was just pacing around. Then Punk, decided to sit down, and we had a kind of a face-off. Crowd was going wild for this. Holy shit chance from the get-go. And the problem was we were not able to having CM Punk Darby Allin dual chants, because the CM Punk chants was overpowering the Darby Allin chants. Did you notice that?
Yes.
And about this match, if you see top from bottom on this card, this was the best pure wrestling match on the card. And this match turned out to be great. And CM Punk, I can't call him the GOAT. He's still the GOAT. He's still the best.
Yes. Like, there were a lot of instances where you could see, like, obviously I was more in for the spectacle than for the match, because, like, of course, it's Punk. He's wrestling after 7 years. You don't know what to expect, but one thing was for sure, that Darby Allin was going to take bumps like a mad. And like, I liked how Punk was moving more into rest holds to cut off Darby's speed. And once Darby got his advantage, then he was running roughshod. And Punk was like gassed at one point, but then again it worked to his advantage. Like, it told a good story as it is. And like, for pure wrestling match, like you mentioned, like this match was great on all cylinders. Like, even crowd work, and Punk was like playing up to the crowd. Like, he's a master at that.
Like,
And yeah,
like he worked smartly. Like someone said, he was having a Bret Hart style match.
yes, like I think they compared it to his '97 run, where he was just more about crowd involvement apart from just pure wrestling thing. And for someone like Punk, obviously, like, this match was great, and it's only going to get better from here on. For him. And, there are obviously bigger matches awaiting, and they're going to be like, they're going to be superb and just going to show that he still got it, and he has still got it.
And by the way, there were some references from Money in the Bank 2011 that he did here in this match. Like in the first parts, they were doing pure wrestling here, Punk and Allin. So when it got to the point where he was, playing off the crowd, like the crowd was saying, "You still got it," or something like that. And Punk, he started, talking to the crowd like, "Who? Me or him?" Do you remember he did the same thing with John Cena in 2011?
Yeah.
Like, and there was yet another Money in the Bank 11 reference where Punk hit a GTS at one point, but Darby Allin fell to the outside. So there you go. And the main story is Punk was going to, wanted to finish the match with the GTS, but initially Darby Allin had it scouted. At one point, Darby Allin hit that pop-up stunner or something like that. Darby Allin was taking his usual bumps, like the way he took that bump off that steel post or that corner thing, like it was insane. We got to the point where Punk was mostly on offense. Darby Allin was building some, momentum. He hit 2 crazy dives, his usual tope and that huge senton. And from there, Darby Allin was ready to finish off Punk with the coffin drop. And he even did that go to sleep reference. And then the crowd booed. Crowd didn't like it. So he hit the coffin drop. Punk, got up like if he was Undertaker. And that's how we countered that spot. And the crowd went wild and he's laughing. That spot was brilliant. Brilliant, I
Hands
tell you.
down.
And yeah, so we were now waiting for that final GTS. But Darby Allin is doing everything to counter here. Like, he even locked in a bunch of reversals, a bunch of roll-ups. So final parts of Darby Allin was going something, I don't know, maybe as a reverse Rana, but Punk got him in that final GTS. That got him the victory. Really good match. Punk looked great. And Darby Allin now is a superstar.
Yes, totally. Like, this was also, like Spandan mentioned, so many people bought this pay-per-view just because of CM Punk. And he was like the big draw in this case. And it opened a lot of new eyes for Darby Allin. I mean, people who are watching AEW regularly know how much of a crazy madman he is, but this was like another, like, on a more wider sense, and it's good to see, like, creating a star even in defeat. And he could take this loss. I mean, I was initially predicting Darby to win, so that they were playing into CM Punk's self-doubt story. Like, can he still go? Can CM Punk still be the best in the world? And Darby was like on top of his game. So I was probably expecting them to continue with that, but I think the finish really explained why, how Punk is still the Punk of old, and how is he, like, still a master, and how is he, willing to help these younger talent thrive on big occasions. So it did its job. So it shows CM Punk is clearly back in pro wrestling, and Darby is a superstar. So, right.
And we had a post-match bit where Sting came out. He promised us that he won't be, involving in himself in this match. He came out, shook Punk's hand. Then we saw a sign of respect from both Punk and Darby Allin. Like I said, it was a great call to, Punk to go over. If you want to do, you can do this match in a long-term type of deal, like how Darby Allin took a year to beat Cody Rhodes. You can do the same thing with CM Punk here. So long-term storytelling, brothers.
Yeah. Thank you for wrestling my godson. Sting to Punk.
But
Punk in the ring, it is a fact that the last we saw of him, he was 35, now he's 42. So there's a difference because he's grown old, and 40 is considered kind of the age that your downfall begins. But I was shocked to see him that good in the ring. Maybe it was a story, maybe it was not, but Punk was around 10-20% slower than he usually he was in his prime, but that's kind of obvious. But Darby, maybe it's just a story that Darby Allin is too fast, and for Punk, it was kind of showing that Punk can't handle him and getting him in the headlock again and again. And if you noticed in the beginning, he was so close to Darby's head, it was kind of clear that he was talking to him, what do we do next? So that was kind of one of the things. And talking about the end, I don't know about others, but I was kind of sensing a CM Punk heel turn, because every single time Sting was walking or roaming around the ring, Punk was behind him. I was just waiting, when is the roundhouse kick coming? Because it kind of felt like Sting was going to be attacked by Punk. It didn't happen. Lot of signs of it. So I do expect a heel turn very, very soon, because Punk's reactions, and then after the match, he just went wild. He just stood on the top middle rope and dropped the F-bombs. He was going mad that I'm back and all of that. So it's just a beautiful moment to see.
he was saying that this was a 7-star match. Did you guys caught that on camera? He said he thinks this was a 7-star match, something like that.
No, he said he's back after 7 years. I think that's.
Oh,
he didn't
I'm sorry.
say
I'm
7
sorry.
stars.
But really good match here. Maybe me and Ridwan will talk in depth in the Dynamite review of what's next for Punk. But there you go, man. Really good match. And did you guys see that was teasing something with the tunnel? Like he was going for the heel entrance tunnel, and he talked to the crowd. Should I go here or I go here? Then he decided to go with the babyface tunnel, and the crowd popped. Really good stuff here. Man.
Oh, that's the deal with the two tunnels.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh my God, they have a different tunnel for entrances.
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
But there you go, man. There you go. But now we got to the good stuff. Then we at least want to have at least one bathroom break, right? One bathroom break.
Yeah.
So this was Paul Wight versus QT Marshall, the match that nobody asked for. Like they tried to make this a big deal. This went about 3 minutes. Mostly Paul Wight was on offense. The factory members, Aaron Solo and Comoroto.
Nick Comoroto.
So they tried to get involved for most part here, but they get taken out. There was one point where Paul Wight, QT Marshall was on offense trying to take down Paul Wight here, and was going for the diamond cutter, but that didn't work. Finally, Paul Wight hits the choke slam, and that was it. Nothing much.
Yeah, I skipped this match because I wanted to get to the main event faster. And obviously, the interest in this feud was low. And I'm glad that it was a short and sweet match for Paul White to go over at QT, and who's pretty decent heel, by the way. So it was just him getting his comeuppance after what we saw on Dynamite this past Wednesday. So work for all parties.
Spandan?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of excitement for this match, but I was kind of happy to see it because I previously was a very huge Big Show fan. So I wanted to see this match, him coming back since 2020, I think. He had his last match, I think, against Drew at WrestleMania 36. But after that, the Orton stuff wasn't a match. So, the real main event. So, all of that happened, and I was excited to see him back. And it was too difficult for me to say Paul White again and again because the obvious thing coming out of the mouth was Big Show. And JR joins me in that because he also called him Big Show. But Excalibur was kind of, saying when JR said Big Show, Excalibur was like, Paul White did the choke slam. And so he kind of told him. So, yeah, good stuff. Didn't have to be too long. Wasn't too long. So it was kind of a bathroom break. And I saw a lot of podcasts reviewing All Out said that the, line to the washroom during this match was too long because most of the people left during this. So they were just building for the main event, which was insane. So let's talk about it.
But nothing much. Paul White, maybe they try and build a Billy Gunn and Paul White thing now that they are teased it on TV.
The Shoguns.
Yeah.
The Shoguns implode, sorry. The Shoguns implode, yeah.
There you go, man. Shall we finally get into the main event?
Yes.
It was.
That's the right word to say here. Yes.
It was Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage for the AEW World Championship. We are informed that Kenny Omega dined somewhere in North Carolina. There you go.
Yeah, he dined and then gained 200 some pounds.
So, by the way, this match was good. I thought it was your typical main event title match, and they really, pulled off a really good match like their previous encounter a few weeks ago at Rampage. We did have, some involvement of the Good Brothers, coming in to cause some distraction. Turned out to be a fine main event, if you ask me. What do you think, Ridwan?
Yeah, this match was like more or less fundamentally sound. Like it's the case with all Christian matches. He's always someone who's more focused, more importance on the little things in wrestling. So it was more on that. Even all the offenses both of these guys put in. Like Kenny's was like a bit sloppy, but it was all due to perspiration. While Christian, he was everything that they hit was like super clean and crisp. But as a match in itself, overall, I think it was pretty good. Like a typical, not a very typical main event, because obviously all the world title matches that have been there so far have been like probable match of the year candidates. This one wasn't exactly there, but I think it was pretty good by itself. And special shout out to Christian. Body, he can still go, and he just looks like he's gotten better with age, you could say. Even he's also someone who's resting after 7 years, like CM Punk, and he's looked great ever since he's returned, and that too, with every step in the way, because his first few matches, he was trying to regain back his ring shape, and now he's in full ring shape. At the same time, he's putting out these very good matches. There you go.
Spandan?
Yeah, this was going to be my first impression of Kenny Omega. Christian, obviously, we've seen him in WWE and TNA and all of that. But Kenny Omega, how good is he? So I was impressed by what I saw. He's a really good wrestler. And, most of the people didn't actually focus on the match because obviously something big was going to happen at the end. And that's also the reason why Punk and Darby didn't main event. Because Punk and Darby was kind of the obvious spot. Chicago favorite, Punk's first match. But they kept the main event for Kenny and Christian. Good match. The focus wasn't on the actual championship match. Obviously, Christian is not going to win all the championships. But the match itself was absolutely fine. For a main event of a pay-per-view, no problem at all. So great spots. Christian, very true that he's gotten better with age. One of the people, including Edge, who's got better with age. So great to see. But what happened afterwards, was like insanity, and it will be really difficult for any of us to keep calm during that.
But before we get to that, let's talk some highlights. Like initially, we saw tables coming out, like where we see Christian was underneath a table, and Kenny Omega did a diving stop through that and really broke the table. And then we saw another table being set up. We would see that in the later parts of the match. So the thing is that Omega, of course, wants to hit the one winged angel. Christian, did a great job, escaping that. We see at one point Christian really did hit the kill switch, and that got a near fall. And then, like I said, the Good Brothers start to get involved, but it didn't work. And we get to this table spot. I'm kind of misplacing it. We get to this table spot. I think Omega wanted to suplex Christian here, but some back and forth. Like at one point, even Omega thought of hitting the one winged angel. Christian was able to escape, and Christian would end up spearing Omega through the table. So this was one of those highlights here. Back in the ring, Christian had several spears, and Omega did a great job selling that. And speaking about selling, Omega was looking for that huge doctor bomb, power bomb, something like that. Omega wasn't able to even pick up Christian Cage. So there you go. Really great stuff here. So final parts. As we get to the final parts, now Don Callis is so desperate. He wants to get involved. And like a sneaky bastard he is, he tried to even attack Christian Cage here. But when that didn't work, he decided to run away. Even jumped off the ropes, which was hilarious. So final parts of the match saw both men, Cage and Omega, were fighting on the ropes, on the top rope. So Christian wanted to hit a super kill switch, but that turned into a super one winged angel, which looked great, got him the victory. Really good match. And by the way, we have to credit Omega and Christian to deliver a good main event, because they knew that there was not going to be a lot of focus for their match.
Yes, like obviously in the team, given what the reports were from the dirt sheets, etc., everyone was looking forward to what was going to happen after the match. And given like how Spandan said, like they were saving up the big spot for the main event and beyond, let's say. And they knew that, and despite that, they delivered a solid match. So it was good to see, and speaks to the testament of how great both of these guys.
Spandan?
Yeah, absolutely. The match, as I said, didn't have a lot of focus, but no matter what, it is the main event of kind of your WrestleMania, as we talked, because it's a big show. You're bringing new viewers and all of that stuff. So you had to deliver in a main event, and they absolutely did. And Kenny Omega, I think, is a great heel champion because you do weird, corny stuff on AEW, which is not available in WWE. So you're kind of happy to see all of that. So really great match. And I wasn't expecting the first debut to be whoever it was. So I was kind of expecting Bryan Danielson to be there instantly and then stare down with Kenny and all of that. But what happened first was even better. So just talking about the match, good stuff.
Okay, let's get to the post-match stuff here that we were looking forward to. So, like I said, Omega and Callis are celebrating. They are joined by the Elite. Even the Young Bucks come in. They are all banged up. Matt Jackson has a giant ice pack on his neck. So they are all celebrating, and Omega is cutting somewhat of a promo. He was a little jealous that some people here in AEW are talking about best in the world this, best in the world that, and he says that nobody can take the AEW world title from him. Either these guys are retired or these guys are dead. Then the lights go out. Okay, we are expecting either final countdown to hit, and out of nowhere, Adam Cole baby shows up in the Titantron. The crowd goes insane like that. You could say it's a shock pop because we didn't expect this. Like Adam Cole is finally here, kind of surprising. Like just few days ago, me and Spandan were covering his match on Takeover 36, and now he's here in AEW. Kind of shocking that it finally happened.
Wow.
Like so, Adam Cole, walks out, goes face to face with the Elite. The Elite are a little shocked. He does the Adam Cole baby. Crowd is into it. and we hear holy shit chants. So we see some verbal battle before Adam Cole comes out. Like after the match was done, they were attacking Christian, the Elite. Then the Jurassic Express, tried to save, but they also get taken down. And now we get to this Adam Cole stuff. We are having some verbal thing with the Elite and Adam Cole, and then psych, he super kicks Jungle Boy. He then reunites with the guys who quote unquote killed him, the Young Bucks. A big group hug. Crowd goes insane for that. And then Kenny Omega in a heelish manner, of course, he says like he's taunting the crowd, and he says he was referring to someone and said, "Did I do that?" Which got a laugh from me. And Adam Cole got the mic and he said he wanted to deliver a story to Chicago from Adam Cole, baby, and said Elite is the most dominant faction in the world right now, and there's no chance in hell that anybody is stopping them. So Omega got the mic and decided to send the home happier, and he was about to do the goodbye, good night, and then we hear Fight of the Valkyrie. Crowd goes insane again. My mind is blown at this point, and was kind of disappointed that we didn't hear final countdown. We'll get to that part, but we did hear Fight of the Valkyrie, and it got some beats to it. That's the entire theme for Bryan Danielson now. And
It's insane.
And this reminded me of that time Samoa Joe showed up on NXT with that GTA Vice City theme.
First time he showed up, right?
Yes, kind of similar vibes. I don't know. Fingers crossed. At least hope to hear final countdown someday on AEW. Hope Tony Khan gets a whole deal. But here we go. Bryan Danielson shows up. Then he didn't do the yes chant, by the way. He was trying his best to not to do the yes chants because trademark.
He was like his heel when he was WWE champion. He used to do this, just the hand raise, what Punk is doing right. So he continued that, and on the media scrum also, they said it's not actually contractually of WWE that the yes chant is with them. So
something is up.
Might use it in the future, but he clearly said he doesn't want to.
But like I said, Danielson shows up, a great response from the crowd, and we see a face-to-face with the Elite and the baby faces as Bryan Danielson has aligned himself with the Jurassic Express. Crowd going insane, and we saw a brawl. Of course, Kenny Omega made sure he escaped the ring with Callis, and you see a huge brawl. Danielson is kicking the shit out of Young Bucks. Of course, one of the Young Bucks, it was Nick Jackson. And we see him hitting the big running knee. And there you go. The baby faces are standing tall as the Elite just run away. And that's how this great pay-per-view went off the air. Really great stuff to end this whole pay-per-view. And it was basically a swerve. Like we expected Danielson to show up, but this Adam Cole bit, it was a swerve. Great stuff.
Clearly was. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't get an ending as bigger as this. Like you weren't expect, like you guys have said it best. Like you weren't expecting Adam Cole. It was a swerve in the grand scheme of things because everyone was expecting Danielson to show up. And then Adam Cole comes out. He looks like he just teases his revenge against the Elite for killing him. But then he joins them back again, and then he's now part of the Elite, and he's the good guys right now, according to what he thinks. And then when Danielson's team hit, obviously the right of the starting theme, the starting tone of it just hits. I personally didn't like the theme, but I wouldn't let it dampen my excitement because I was super hyped for Danielson to show up in AEW. And then looking at what he's going to do, just staring daggers into Kenny and then aligning himself with the Jurassic Express for this brawl. And whatever he's going to do later on is going to be amazing. And another household name like CM Punk who's going to get in a lot of eyeballs on AEW. So business-wise, this is basically these two are like the game changer signings AEW desperately needed to take them to the next level, and like this is the start of something new for them, which I'm all in for. Let's just say.
Spandan?
Yeah, it's difficult to control your excitement even while talking because I kind of remember both promos before the returns. I kind of most times because I watched their debut so many times. It was beautiful. And Adam Cole coming in, if you would do so many things on one show, does it remove the spotlight from some of the moments? It didn't at all. I don't know how they pulled it off, but even after the show, it's like people must be talking only about Bryan or Cole. But Ruby Soho's name was put out a lot of times. So people do remember everything that happened. 3 major debuts, CM Punk's first match, a title win in the tag team division, a lot of stuff that happened, but people individually remember everything. Talking about Bryan's theme, I liked it a lot because the beats kind of added some flavor to it. It's always like cool and calm Daniel Bryan, but the beats kind of made it wild is what Bryan wanted. He said, both of them, I like this fact that they didn't burn the bridge with WWE. They stayed calm and said that they had a good relationship and loved where they worked. But Bryan said Vince was kind of overprotective of him and did say that you can go outside and work some things, but Bryan wanted to be wild, and now AEW is the place to be wild. So 2 major debuts and no spotlight removed from either of them. Really, really happy to see all of it and hope to AEW.
And
Yes.
go on, Ridwan.
No, I will continue. I'll do something else.
But Bryan Danielson showing up on AEW, okay, it makes sense. Like, Spandan just pointed out, he didn't burn any bridges. He wanted to do something else. And he's finally here in AEW. Adam Cole part, bro, I was okay if he re-signed with them. But his situation is very funny compared to his other colleagues. Like whenever you expected an NXT call-up, either they won't be the same or it would be a 3-month period and they are dead. Vince just cuts their legs off. But this guy didn't even get a shot. Like he says that he had a good enough conversation with Vince, but man, why didn't the company just let go of this man? This is Adam Cole. Like this guy should be supposed to be the next Shawn Michaels. Like how did you let loose this guy?
Like Twitch was one of the main reasons why he was like he wanted to retain his Twitch, and also like if you remember on stream when he was streaming his video games and Tyler Breeze got released, he just breaks down in tears. So that would have certainly played a role apart from all the other NXT talents like his colleagues who ever jumped to the main roster and didn't really get a good run either like in the long run or like even in the short time they spent. Carrying Cross is like the most recent example. So probably it was evident that way. At the same time, he'll be Elite who's best friends with. He has the love of his life working in AEW, so it made sense on all of this. But I do agree with what Suprit is saying, like how he's a star. He's a star, and if he was like on a more mainstream product that is Raw and SmackDown, with wider viewers, he would have been an even bigger star and certainly someone who would have carried the company flag for the longest time. But they did let him go, so one team's loss is another team's gain.
He would have been the Damian Priest or Matt Riddle kind of role on both either Raw or SmackDown. Hopefully.
Probably, or even like whatever we've seen from Finn Balor so far in his return. He's got enough healing. He got the call up, was fought for a few weeks, and then he was just like after his loss, but they are probably building something for that. So just have to be patient. But with Cole, I wasn't very hopeful. Like even if he had the potential, he has like everything to be a star. It's just his, I don't want to say size, but you never know what goes in the minds of Vince and Bruce and so.
Spanda, what do you think about Adam Cole being all elite?
Yeah, it's it's a tough topic to talk about. But as you said, why did they let go of Adam Cole? I think WWE wanted Adam Cole to stay. They gave him $1 million deal and stay on SmackDown because Paul Heyman is there. Paul Heyman will handle you well. And just talking in brief about why Adam Cole left, as we did on the Takeover review, I think it does boil down to his size because Vince does like his big meaty men, and you know, Adam Cole, yeah. So Adam Cole is built to be 6 feet, but he's actually 5'10", which is really small compared to the other superstars. So he was scared that he would go get his few matches, maybe a mid-card title win, and then done with the all main roster push, and he would be removed. So and he wanted his Twitch account to stay. He wanted to play video games and all of that stuff. So a couple of reasons for him to leave, but as he said, he didn't have a bad relationship with Vince. He's a tough man to speak to, and he commands respect. So yeah, we kind of know who Vince is. So I don't have a problem with him leaving NXT because he's probably one of the best booked wrestlers on NXT. He's maybe you can call him Mr. NXT because he's been that good, done everything. So if he had to stay, the main roster was the only option. Staying on NXT would have done nothing for him. So he made his choice and went to AEW, and he's not going to be badly booked there because all of his friends are in the creative team.
And you could say Adam Cole had one of the most unique WWE runs of all time.
True.
Like he was in developmental and was a star.
Don't call it developmental, man. Come on, it's
getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there.
By the way, I'm going to be watching NXT, the new presentation. Let's see how it works. But
I'm curious.
But
I don't think it's this week. I think it's next week.
14th September.
Let's see. But really great addition to the AEW roster. One thing I wanted to add before we end this review, I think Adam Cole is the snake in the Elite.
Even I feel so. Because, I mean,
he'll probably turn in sometime.
But
probably double agent with with Hangman or something like that. He'll pull it off. But I'm excited to see it.
Speaking about Hangman, now that this whole surprises and arrivals have over as of now let's get back Hangman. Let's restart this program.
Yeah.
I think Hangman's wife is pregnant right now. That's why he's taking a break. So that is obviously the one guy who's going to dethrone Kenny Omega. But do you want Bryan to lose this early after his debut? So that's going to be a big thing to talk about.
I think they are going to go the Christian Cage route. Christian Cage's booking was good enough, and they would do even a better job with Bryan Danielson. And yeah, like keep him off the world title picture. It's easy in AEW's case because they depend on the rankings, so it's gonna be a while. And who knows when Bryan and Omega eventually happens, it's not even going to be for the world title. Maybe Omega doesn't even be world champion at that point.
Very much possible.
But Bryan Danielson, man, let's speak about Bryan Danielson for a while. Like 2021 MVP Bryan Danielson. You know why? Because this is the guy who got to face, will be facing two of the top number one, number two guys in the business right now. That's Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns. So there you go, man. Bryan Danielson is killing it right now.
Yes, like the guy main evented Mania this year, and then he jumped ship to AEW. So it's as wild as it gets. I just wanted to point out, like, regarding his final countdown deal. So there was a thing, like, it was a news back in the day that he hated the song, and it was too expensive to license it. So they went with this theme. So I think this theme was also not by Mikey Ruckus, it's by some other like independent artist that he might have chosen. But I wasn't expecting Final Countdown to play, but again, like, I don't know. But later on, let's see. Like, if they strike a deal later on, it will be good to see that. But for now, like, I wouldn't let this team dampen my excitement. And like, I'm just raring to see what else he does. And the matches. There are a lot of dream matches. Like, obviously, you have Omega, you have Hangman, you have Moxley currently, this current form of Moxley. and there's Eddie Kingston, and obviously like the main reason for Daniel Bryan switch to AEW is that he wanted to work more in Japan, and apparently like if the rumors are to be believed, he wanted to work with Will Ospreay, who is the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. So that is also another interesting dynamic. Like you could even see Bryan in G1, so a lot of possibilities.
But as of now, he doesn't want to go to Japan or Mexico because the whole situation now we have in the world right now, right?
Yeah.
But
again, probably once things heal.
But fingers crossed, and that whole candle emoji, he shows up in January at the Tokyo Dome in some fashion.
Yeah, hoping for the same. And it's a 3-day event, so probably they'll just squeeze him in somehow.
That's another topic for another podcast, man. But this right here, this was All Out. Really great pay-per-view, really great presentation with AEW, and looking forward to the upcoming Dynamites and Rampages, especially Dynamites.
Totally.
Absolutely.
But on that note, guys, before we leave, where can these guys find you? Starting with Spandan.
So you guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Ghar Baithe VC. I do a podcast and I do vlogs. You can find great content there. So yeah.
Ridwan?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rid_Aman. And if you're watching this in video form, you can see it probably in one of these comments.
By the way, we forgot to mention Ridwan was in an undisclosed location for this review.
Yes.
Okay, that seems like his office, by the way. And we did not do the rating for the show.
What you rate for this show, Spandan?
I didn't like the Bucks match, so I would rate a 9.
Ridwan?
I would call it a 9.5. Like there were just minor discrepancies which didn't really affect my enjoyment for the show. Like there were a few like very minor small things that were good, but overall it was a fun show.
I will give it a I won't give it a solid 10.
11?
No. I'm not Dave Meltzer, okay. I will give it a 9.5. Maybe let's see. Let me see if I can argue with someone over WrestleMania 17 the debate. But there you go, man. So this was the All Out review 2021. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.